In this video, I interview an amazing woman who shares with us the story of her 100-pound weight loss journey and how she did it. Hi, Jim here with No Longer Chunky, where you get the latest tips, tricks, and tools to help you on your weight loss journey. On this channel, I focus primarily on helping and encouraging those who follow or want to learn more about the Brightline Eating method of losing weight and keeping it off. Brightline Eating is what I use to lose over 150 pounds. So if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. Okay, if you're a YouTube fan, you may recognize this wonderful lady. Her name is Shannon, and she and her husband John have an extremely popular and extremely helpful YouTube channel called That DIY Couple, where they do videos on health and wellness and weight loss, including Brightline Eating. Now this is one of my favorite YouTube channels, and I highly recommend that you check it out and all of their great videos and subscribe to their channel like I have. Now I've put a link to their channel in the description below. So let's get right into my interview with Shannon and hear her story of how she overcame her struggle with obesity and the role that Brightline Eating played in her weight loss victory. Well, thanks so much for joining me today, Shannon. I'm really excited to hear your story.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And one of you and your videos that you and your husband did on that DIY couple channel that you have really helped me when I started with Brightline Eating. So I wanted to thank you both for that. So
absolutely, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, just for context.
Sure. So I'm in my early 30s. I'm a lawyer in New York City, and I really enjoy, health and wellness and things like that. But it's been, I think, for like most people, it's been a journey for me. So a couple of years ago, I was about 100 pounds heavier than I am now. And, I was unwell. I had a number of health issues, but mostly I just I felt like I was aging so quickly, being so young. And I just felt like 100 years old. And I don't think I really entirely realized the extent to how miserable I was. But, I think like most people, at some point I had some sort of moment where I was like, I've got to make a change. And we both lost, my husband and I both lost about 100 pounds.
Wow.
But for me, the first 50 pounds came with adapting a plant-based diet. So first I found a plant-based diet, and that brought me to Brightline Eating. So I learned about Brightline Eating when Susan Pierce Thompson was interviewed on the Food Revolution Network. And then I quickly read the book, fell in love with the program, and lost the remaining 50 pounds that I needed to lose. I had been plateaued for like 2 years. And I just could not lose the remaining weight until I fully combined the principles for me of eating plant-based with Brightline Eating.
Well, that is really cool. That is really cool. So what was maybe you can tell us a little bit more about what life was like before, when you said you were 100 pounds overweight, so you felt like you were aging. What were some of the other challenges you were experiencing?
It was just really hard. I mean, it was like, there's a sense of just not feeling right in your body. And it was really hard to buy clothing. I would get really sad and I would cry in the dressing room pretty often. A lot of I tend to carry my weight around my tummy. And when I would be on the subway or something like that, sometimes people would offer me their seat thinking that I was pregnant, and they were trying to do something nice and like couldn't understand when I was like, crying because of it. Because at the time I'm currently pregnant, but at the time I wasn't pregnant. And so, I think just this like lack, and when I was younger, I had like a real sense of self-confidence and things like that. And as I was heavier, I was kind of losing, I think, integrity with food, and it was leaving me feeling both sick and tired, but also just not very good about myself.
Yeah, I can certainly relate to that. That's great. Thanks for sharing that. And then you obviously decided to give Brightline Eating a try. Yeah. What else was it that kind of appealed to you? I mean, you'd already started doing some plant-based eating, so that concept certainly probably resonated with you. But what else was it that kind of drew you to that?
When I had started eliminating animal, first of all, let's clarify that Brightline Eating is not a plant-based program. I think Susan Pierce Thompson follows a plant-based eating, but anybody can do Brightline Eating. So it's not about that. But I think just in my personal story, I had eliminated some things from my diet and found that I was just feeling better as I eliminated them. So I was kind of like already open to the idea that sometimes less is more, and cutting things out can lead to a lot more freedom and control around food. And for me, I think the thing that was appealing was the science behind it. I was just so persuaded by Susan's knowledge of neuroscience and chemistry, and explaining, you know, why our bodies react the way that they do to sugar and flour.
Sure.
And frankly, a relief to realize that I was still heavy, but it wasn't really my fault. I was kind of, you know, not programmed for this environment. You know, like I wasn't doing well in this area of this world of abundance because my body had been sort of programmed for a world of scarcity.
Interesting. And had you tried other things in the past that didn't work well?
Yeah, I mean, I think I had tried Weight Watchers for a period of time with my husband, and exercise. I mean, I ran a marathon while I was heavy, and I was surprised that I didn't lose more than like 5 pounds, which I quickly put on more than that after running a marathon. And so to learn, I think like most people, I've always thought that it was all about exercise. Like, oh, I could eat whatever I want as long as I just moved my butt enough. But it really resonated with me to learn that it's really more about diet.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. What would you say was the hardest thing for you about starting with Brightline Eating?
Oh man, I think that I'm one of those weird people who's been more of a flour person than a sugar person. So I didn't like eliminating sweets was not as hard for me as eliminating some of my favorite flour products.
Interesting.
But I also think I had a hard time for a while with alcohol and portion sizes. And so for me, I ended up kind of doing a little bit of a staggered approach to Brightline Eating. First, I cut out sugar and flour, and then I lost weight for sure. And then I focused on portion sizes, and then I focused on, you know, meal timing, and then I focused on, and finally I eliminated alcohol. And I think for me, kind of staggering it in that way was a little bit easier than going full turkey all at once.
Oh, interesting. That's cool. So you kind of implemented it slowly, but one step at a time, and that worked well for you, obviously.
Yeah, it felt good now. And now I don't really, it's weird to think about it, but I don't miss it. Like I think what's really hard for anyone to realize at the beginning of their weight loss journey is that the things that you love now and the things that you feel like you can't live without because they're just so important to you will change. And so I think there was a real turning point in my weight loss journey where I woke up in the morning, and instead of craving my old bacon, bacon, cheese from Dunkin' Donuts, I was craving Swiss chard. I was like, who am I? Who have I become? And it's really interesting to learn that our gut bacteria actually shift after we change our diets. So you start to crave more of what you're eating, and the things that you have to eat when you're eating healthy start to actually look and taste good to you. So all these skinny people who you see running around in the world, they're not like secretly hating themselves and feeling really deprived. They just actually like salad.
Yeah. That was the biggest shock to me too. So, I mean, so you can tell people, let me ask you, do you like eating food still?
Oh my gosh, I get so much enjoyment and pleasure out of food. Once you've kind of cut through all the crap and you're not just constantly overwhelming and bombarding your system, I feel like I have so much more pleasure out of like the sweetness of a berry, or like, you know, when I like to put, I do these mason jar salads, and I like to put like a bunch of berries in mine at the bottom. That's my fruit serving. And that just is so, so good to me. Like I really, when you're not constantly eating and constantly eating bad stuff, food that is good for you and food that nature intended you to eat will taste good. I promise.
Absolutely. And that's been the biggest shock to me too. It's just that how much I enjoy eating versus, because I thought honestly I had to choose between fat and happy or skinny and miserable.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's hard to realize like where you are now is just a moment in time. And as your body changes, your feelings will also change.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, that's been the coolest thing for me. So how has your life changed the most since you did Brightline Eating and lost that last 50 pounds?
Oh man, I just feel so much more in control and happy around food. I just feel like Like I know exactly what I'm going to eat, and I know that it's going to keep me feeling healthy and feeling good. And when I've kind of like strayed from those rules, I just don't feel as good, and I enjoy eating the way that I do.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
But I mean, also like in terms of health, all my blood work is better. I feel like I've taken back years of my life, and all of my issues that I had are gone. So I really truly believe in the power of diet to transform a person. I was like pre-diabetic. I had all these issues. I had fatty liver, I had GERD. I was like, I think they told me I had like PCOS, which is a fertility thing, and now I'm pregnant. Like, it's just like,
wow.
there's so many things that you can do to heal your body and your ailments and just add years to your life.
That is great. That is exciting. And it must feel wonderful expecting a baby now, knowing that you've gotten that part of your life kind of under control.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially like, you know, I want to be around for long time. And I'm just really happy that I'm starting their life this way, feeling healthy.
That is cool. That is cool. What advice would you give to anyone who's kind of just exploring Brightline Eating and kind of wondering if this might be for them?
I mean, step one, read the book. It's great. Like you can hear it from, you know, Susan herself. I liked the audiobook because I'm a very auditory person, and maybe if you're consuming this media in this format, you are too.
Yeah.
So read the book, watch some of the videos, and, you know, sign up for either the 14-day challenge or the boot camp, or if those things are out of your budget, just go for it. And then come back if you feel like you've plateaued, come back to some of the more, you know, expensive options and things like that if you feel like you need an extra kick in the butt. Or if you're ready and you're just fed up and you're ready to like just go for it right now. I mean, for me, I've done all of them. I started by just reading the book, and then I did the 14-day challenge, and then eventually I did the boot camp, and I find them all added tremendous value to my life. And I can't recommend the program enough. It's really been a lifesaver for me.
Well, that is cool. It certainly has been in our family as well. And I just also want to let people know that you've got a number of videos on Brightline Eating, such as you mentioned your mason jar salad. What are some of the other videos that you have on your channel, which is That DIY Couple on YouTube? So
we've got a summary of the book. We've got our experience with Brightline Eating. We've got how to start. We're about to release a review of the boot camp and whether or not we think it's really worth it. We've got a lot of recipes. We've got a lot of like meal prep and things like that. The other thing I would plug, though, are some of the great Facebook communities. So there's just been a launch of the official Facebook community, but there's also a couple that I like. One is called We Eat with Bright Lines. And then there's lots of inspiration and stuff like that on Instagram. If you search for, you know, Brightline Rockstar, that's a good hashtag to follow, because you can see a lot of people who have made some pretty tremendous transformations. Yes, I have found Instagram great too, because you get a lot of recipe ideas from that as well, with people doing Brightline Eating who just put their picture up and you're like, that looks good, I could do that. Yeah, exactly. So, well, excellent. Well, thank you so much, Shannon. This is a real pleasure having a chance to talk to you, and greet John for me. I will. Keep those videos coming because they're really helpful, and you too. And appreciate your time. So you have a good rest of your day. All right. Thanks. You too. Thanks. Yep. Bye. Bye-bye.
Wasn't that inspiring? Thank you so much to my friend Shannon for sharing her story with us. I really liked it when she talked about how much she believes in the power of diet to transform your life. And her life certainly has been transformed. Now, if you like this interview and what Shannon shared, would you take a second right now and give this video a thumbs up? Thank you. I appreciate it. So, what did Shannon share that really resonated with you? Could you relate to the experience of failed weight loss attempts, or to the physical and emotional toll that comes with being significantly overweight? I certainly can. But did you catch something else she said, something that totally changed her perspective? She said that she learned that it wasn't her fault. It wasn't her fault. You see, what Shannon learned was that her brain is wired in such a way that leaves her particularly susceptible to food addiction. And learning this information is what got her moving in the right direction and helped her lose those last 50 pounds. Now, the good news is that the majority of the population is not wired this way. Shannon's husband John is not. My wife is not. However, some of us are. And if you are highly susceptible to food addiction, the more traditional approaches to weight loss are unlikely to provide any long-term success. So how do you find out if you're susceptible to food addiction? Well, there's actually a free quiz you can take to find out. This quiz was designed by cognitive and brain scientist Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson, and it takes just a couple of minutes to complete. You'll get a score on a scale of 1 to 10, which indicates how susceptible you may be to food addiction. And then you can watch a brief video that explains your particular score. If you'd like to take the susceptibility quiz, see what your score is, I've put a link to this free quiz in the description below. Thanks again for Shannon for sharing her story with us, and thank you for watching.